Hi, my name is Ben Myers. I was born with a rare birth defect called Moebius Syndrome. I've been teaching disability advocacy for 7 years now. The first time I got to give a disability advocacy presentation was to my Boy Scout troop. My Scoutmaster wanted to help the Scouts get some of the rarer merit badges out there, amongst them disabilities awareness. 2 of the requirements in that merit badge involving interviewing a person with a disability to find out how the disability impacts their daily lives. My Scoutmaster realized, hey, why not ask Ben? He's this 11-year-old kid, that'll work, right? I was ecstatic. Little 11-year-old me had never had such an opportunity, and I couldn't wait to hear what awesome questions all my best friends had to ask me about my disability, about something so important to me. We get to the meeting, and we go through all the requirements for the other badges, and we finally get to the interview. The Scoutmaster introduces the activity, and I go up to the front of the room, waiting to hear all these great questions, waiting to participate in such an important discussion. Dead silence. Maybe they missed our cue? Didn't look like it. So stubborn 11-year-old me knew that to get this requirement, they needed to do this interview. And to get the merit badge, they needed to do this requirement. So stubborn 11-year-old me asked myself a question. Hey Ben, what's wrong with your hands? Well, let me tell you. After that, all these questions started rolling in. And I learned something that day. People are itching to talk about disability, but they can't. And maybe they're doing it out of fear that they're going to offend someone. But this disability taboo, as I like to call it, is everywhere. It's everywhere. A very familiar situation to just about anyone with a visible disability is a little kid coming up and asking, hey, what's wrong? And the parent hastily rushing over saying, you can't say that, that's rude. But we are a very xenophobic race. We fear that which is foreign to us. So if we remain ignorant, if we can't talk about something, then we open ourselves up to fears and to prejudice and to misinformation. Remaining silent about disability is not helpful. It is detrimental. Of course, we already have some disability conversation out there already, but it is negative. When I say negative, I want to clarify. There's a difference between saying, oh, you have this disability, that means you have these difficulties, how can we be accommodating? That's a very rational, practical discussion. And then they're saying, oh, I'm so sorry you have these disabilities, oh, I'm so sorry, you're such an inspiration. When I say negative, that's what I'm talking about. That is not helpful. There's several ways in which we have these negative disability conversations. One is how often we use disabilities as insults. A few obvious ones come to mind, but what about some of the rarer ones to think about, the ones that come up in our day-to-day conversations? How often do you call something you don't like crazy, stupid, idiotic, insane? These are all slurs. And yet somehow we find that it is okay to say them. Why? There's also a very prevalent negative portrayal of disabilities in the media. In his book, The Disabled, the Media, and the Information Age, Jack A. Nelson identifies these 7 negative disability tropes that are in just about everything with people with disabilities. These are all mostly self-explanatory. My personal favorite is the second one, the disabled person as the supercrip. This is where, through sheer willpower, the disabled person is able to overcome their disability. And that sounds like a great narrative, except what you're doing is you're telling the disabled that their success stories, that their worth, is all about the minimization of their disability. And this happens not just in fiction, but everywhere. Have you ever seen those Facebook posts where someone says, wow, this person with this disability can do these things. What's your excuse? That's inspiration porn. Sheila Young in her TED Talk actually talked about that if you're looking to learn more. I myself have had the super crip trope put on me in 7th grade. I made it to the state science fair, and the local paper reported about it. And in the paper, they said that I had overcome my disability to make it to the state science fair. My disability didn't really have a bearing, but because I was disabled, my success story had to be super crip. This is everywhere, and it doesn't help. We can fix this. All of us, everyone in this room, can do things to fix it. Let's not use words like disabled or handicapped or crippled. Let's use different words with neutral etymologies and neutral connotations. Let's come up with a word like physiodivergence. You joke, but the mental disability community is already starting to adopt the word neurodivergence. Let's do this. Let's take these disability slurs out of our conversation. Let's not use them as an insult, because disability is not an insult. Let's start talking more about disability. And why shouldn't we? According to the U.S. Census Bureau, there are 57 million Americans living with disabilities. That's more than 2.5 times the population of Australia. The World Health Organization says that there are 1 billion people worldwide living with disability. That's more than 3 times the entire population of the United States. 3 times America that we are not talking about. Let's talk about this. Let's put disabled characters, a wide variety of them, in our kids' shows so that our kids grow up around disability and can be so much more tolerant and accepting and accommodating than we ever were. But most of all, what I want to leave you with is this. Let's start the disability conversation together. Thank you.